Thank you for tuning in to Mind Your Business, MYB Talk Radio, the business radio talk show that talks all about business. I'm your host, Miss Robin Annette, and this program is brought to you by Mothership Productions. Mothership Productions is marketing, branding, advertising, and web development, including multimedia, radio broadcasting, and radio advertising. Today's topic is a change of heart, the true history, transition, business, and money of Valentine's Day. This one's going to be a little rough, guys, because I know Valentine's Day is a very sweet and sentimental day, and, we all try to celebrate that day as best we can, whether we have a sweetheart or not. We're going to go into a few stats as to, even people who send themselves flowers and things like that, how much money is being spent today, on that day, and really, like I said, go into the, unfortunately, brutal history of Valentine's Day and how it weirdly went in transition to making money for love on that day. So anyway, guys, just real quick, let me give you the call numbers, 1-877-704-1010 and 410-481-1010. You can always listen live on WOLBbaltimore.com. Don't forget, guys, check out www.mybtalkradio.com, and that's the show's website. Check that out. Me in the studio on YouTube also, and also sponsorships are available. And to keep MYB informing you on the radio, please don't. Valentines were actually a group. And they were a group of Christians, along with many other Christians. They were tortured, unfortunately, and prosecuted. They were martyrs around 270 A.D. Once they were prosecuted, they were buried, or persecuted, and tortured. They were buried in Via Flaminia, and there was two groups. There were the Valentines of Rome and the Valentines of Tyranny, and they were both buried in Via Flaminia, but in different locations. Now, Saint Valentine himself was a priest near Rome, and he tried to help the Roman soldiers to be married because it was forbidden by Claudius. All this was under the Roman Emperor Claudius II, and unfortunately, like I said, he was trying to allow time not only for them to be married, but trying to save them from execution, because everyone who was being Christian, not transferring over to the Roman paganism, was being tortured and murdered, and martyred and executed. So that was provided by Wikipedia, but as I said, the reason why it was outlawed for them to be married is because, I'm sure you all have heard this before, a lot of soldiers weren't considered to be good soldiers if they were married. Naturally, they were thinking about their home and their family and all of this, so they wouldn't be as focused on their mission and the things they had to do when they went out for their mission at war. So, like I said, all of this was under Claudius II, the Roman emperor. Now, here's what they also said about Saint Valentine. They said that Claudius II was impressed. They used the word impressed. Back then, I really think there was probably something else going on, but that's the truth. But Claudius II was impressed by Saint Valentine and was trying to prevent him himself from being executed. And in that, he sat down and had a discussion with him. This is all according to Wikipedia and all over, really. History Channel, everything can tell you online. And so he was trying to convert him to Roman paganism once again. Well, good old St. Valentine said, no, how about this? How about you convert to Christianity instead? So, of course, that didn't work. He got executed. But before that happened, he was able to heal a young lady by the name of Julia. Julia was the jailer's, his person who put him in jail, jailer's daughter. And she was blind. He healed her, and the 44-member household that was, his name was Asterius. Asterius was the jailer's name. Asterius' household converted after he healed Julia. I guess they were thinking, wow, so they got baptized and everything, so that was pretty cool. So that's one big part of the history. Here's the other thing. Before he got executed the night before in the jail, he wrote sort of a love letter to Julia. And it was signed, Your Valentine. So, of course, nowadays, we're still using From Your Valentine as a signature to our Valentine's Day. And that's kind of sweet. That's the sweet side of the history I'm going to tell you. Here's another thing, one more thing. Julia, the young daughter that he fell in love with, or they had something going, planted a pink blossomed almond tree as a symbol to their love and friendship. And do you know that was back, like I said, 270 A.D. Do you know that blossom tree, that almond tree, is still standing till this day? So whatever they had, I believe, was strong. Anyway, guys, 1-877-704-1010 or 410. Give me a call, guys. I mean, I'm about to rip into some pretty nasty stuff now, but what do you think? I mean, two questions. One, what do you think of the history? Have you heard of it also? What are some of your takes on it? Do you even celebrate Valentine's Day because of that history that I'm about to give to you? And two, one big question. What is the amount that you've most spent either on someone else or yourself for Valentine's Day? Okay, so call in 1-877-704-1010. Now, VermontClinic.com tells us even further of what happened back then. And that's the one that's a little rough. Around the time that 270 AD, every single year, I believe it was the festival of leprosy. And that's Luperici or something like that. I have to research that again. But that is a festival that happened it was an annual festival from the 13th to the 15th of February. And what happened was it would be young men and boys, and older men too, running through the streets, okay, giving live animal sacrifices, and stoning and sticking and throwing of blood and ripping off strips of these animal skin and running through the streets naked, unfortunately, and whipping the women in the village who were waiting to be whipped by this animal skin. This is because they believed, the reason why they did that is because Claudius II, this was all under Claudius II, they believed that it would make them more fertile. Another thing they did was they took a big container of some type, put all the women's names on there, and they would jumble it up, just like a lottery, and they would pick from that container whatever young man has picked that paper of the woman's name, they would hang with them for that whole year. Eventually, some of them would get married, and that's what happened. So this is the gruesome history. Like I said, once again, let me run that past you again. It would be men and young men running through the streets naked, whipping women with bloody rawhides of these live animal sacrifices after stoning and sticking and all of that, whipping them because they felt that it would make them a little more fertile for children. So that's pretty wild. And it was the love really of blood and sacrifice. Okay, and a lot of these Christians were sacrificed. That's the pretty rough part about Valentine's Day. So call in now, 1-877-70. What do you think? Now that you've heard some of this history, now this is Wikipedia.com. This is VermontScenic.com. This is History Channel, H2.com. So you can go anywhere and find this information. So let me know what you think. Have you ever changed your heart? That's number one. Number two, how much money have you spent on Valentine's Day? So anyway, guys, just a quick transition. History Channel went on to say that France and England doves around that time, are going towards the 14th century. France and England, when the doves were flying around, they were believed to be mating season and fertile around that day, Valentine's Day, the National Valentine's Day, which is February 14th. So that's kind of how it went into transition of love and romance and all of that. And then, of course, Shakespeare jumped in and started doing a few things there. So that's what we got there. So give me a call. Now we're transitioning to the business side of it. I always try to give you the history. But now National Geographic says that on Valentine's Day, we made $17.6 billion last year on this day. So you can imagine what it's going to be. Anyway, they said restaurants in 2012 and from the previous year made 6.1%, and that resulted in $9.5 billion. So this is big money here to be made on Valentine's Day. I hate to burst your bubble with the with the history, but 47.5 of the U.S. is buying candy every single year. 34.3 spending money on flowers. 52. This is out of the entire United States. We're not just talking about even worldwide. Okay. 52.1 on Valentine's Day for Valentine's Day cards. You got, of course, 17.3 on the jewelry side, 34.6, and of course that's on the dining out. Okay, once again on the restaurants. 14.4 on clothing, and all the other gifts and miscellaneous they said was 11.2. This is out of the U.S., guys. This is pretty good information, and I think you all should know. I'm sure you guys are still going to buy yourself and at least someone else's or your sweetheart a a gift for Valentine's Day. But this is some deep stuff, and I want you all to take it into account. We want to make the money as much as we can. We're going through a recession, and we have to help each other along as much as we can. Be independent, as I always say. But these are some factors that you really want to think about. And even in the different industries, we've spent millions and millions of dollars on each and every holiday, and we're just making it happen for these companies and businesses. So anyway, like I said, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. I really would like to know what's on your biz mind. We want to know some questions. So tweet us, like us, follow us. You can also pin us on Pinterest and, of course, under Mothership Productions. Let's Talk Business on LinkedIn. Anyway, guys, statisticsbrain.com goes on to say 1,233, and this is the number of locations that were producing chocolate and cocoa products in the U.S. That was this year in 2013, so they already have the statistic for that. And the annual expected revenue of domestic cut flowers is $403 million. Okay, and out of that percentage is 34.3. And Daycom also says that the percentage of those in the U.S. that celebrate Valentine's Day, whether it be to those, from those who know about the history, those who don't, those who send their Valentines out to themselves, they say even 61.8 celebrate Valentine's Day. So that's not even 75%. So I'm thinking that's between, like I said, those who know about the holiday or the history, those who don't, and then some who just plain old don't celebrate. Even with other holidays that we choose to kind of skip over and sham over the history a little bit in order for these industries to make this money. And to how much money, have you spent on this holiday? Okay, so check that out. Anyway, National Geographic says that about 8 billion candy hearts. I'm just going through these things because it's ironic that we're sharing these, we know the history now, and a lot of us do. But some of us try to, celebrate love on this one day when, of course, like they always say, you should celebrate love on every single day, not just on one day. But I'm just giving you these stats just to put it in your mind that, this is the holiday that we have. I mean, the history, I keep saying holiday. The history that we've had is pretty doggone gruesome. Now look what we're doing. We're spending millions of dollars on this stuff. National Geographic says 8 billion candy hearts were made in 2009. And then they also say that the National Confectioners Association, and check this out, out of that 8 billion, or excuse me, the 8 billion, they say that the 8 billion candy hearts that were made in 2009 is enough, check this out, to stretch from Rome, Italy to Arizona and back again 20 times. That's that's crazy. That's nuts, but that's what they say. So the whole thing is kind of twisted a little bit here. So I want you to call in for your opinion and give me what you think. But they also go on to say, Statistics Brain says, even 14% of the U.S. send flowers to themselves. So even if you can't, send it to somebody else and celebrate, you can at least focus on yourself. And what a great day to do it. But as I said, we've got this crazy history. But anyway, call in 1-877-704-1010 or 410-481-1010. Or listen live on WOLBbaltimore.com. Show. I want to come to the what? The dotted line. What happens on the end of every single contract or business deal? You come to the what? The dotted line. Even though some know, some know, some don't know about the history of Valentine's Day, there's still a market out there. And due to the fluff that the media and storybooks have taught us, we definitely have a business out there. Fortunately and unfortunately, business is business. And money is money. We must move on, right? Regardless of the facts, with millions made every single Valentine's Day, who can't get the notion to make money on that day? It's funny, though. It's funny yet not funny on which holidays we choose to celebrate based on the history, which ones we don't. It's almost weird and unmoral. Maybe that's why they say it's the root of all evil. But you know what? It's not the money is not the root of all evil. It's the want of money that is the root of all evil. So you decide. Would you like to continue to make money in that way, regardless of what you've learned and been taught? Or have you yourself had a change of heart? Well, that's about it, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you tune in every single Monday from 1:30 to 2 p.m. You can follow us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, and other Mothership Productions Let's Talk Business on LinkedIn. I'm your host, Miss Robin Annette, signing off from WOLB 1010 AM. And before I go, I gotta let you know there's no business like your own business.
I think you can still grab it though.